Well, okay. I'll tell you what. I don't think it's going to be possible. All right. However, my job, like the thing that I was contractually obligated to do, the thing that I was hired to do, the thing that my contract actually says on it, is that I was hired as the contractor to perform all of the repairs that are prescribed by this claim, meaning you're writing up the instruction list and I'm carrying it out. You know, you call the shots. You're in charge here, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. You know, I really don't have a choice but to do that. Like that's my job. That's the thing I was hired to do. But again, I just don't think it's going to be possible. But I'm going to make a good faith effort to try it. Okay. I tried, and this is what happened. Here's the proof of what happened. Here's the documentation. Here's the footage. Here's the photographs. Here's the video footage, for crying out loud. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? So I'm afraid, unfortunately, you know, I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm really trying to work it out with you. I feel like, you know, honestly, the thing that I'm trying to do is I can see that we're mostly good on all these items on this job, right? Like we're good. I feel like we can get there. But the thing that I'm trying to do, I can see this thing kind of going sideways without me having anything to really do with it, you know? And I'm really trying to see what I can do to keep the train from going off the track. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you and I, you know, together, we can roll up our sleeves, work together for the common good of our mutual client. I really do feel like that. I feel like you and I can get there, man. I'm reasonable. I'm willing to work it out. You know, as I've told you multiple times at this point. Connor.
Chad, did you die?
No, I didn't die, brother. Not yet, man.
He's off the grid. Where'd he go?
No, man.
You've probably been swamped, huh?
Oh, my goodness. It's been crazy.
Yeah, how's the conferences been?
Amazing, bro. I mean, yeah, just came from Atlanta on Friday. Had 70 in Atlanta, 70 in Orlando 2 weeks before that. Nashville coming up Friday after next. Looking about to be probably around the same, maybe more. And then Columbus, man, Columbus is going to be huge. I mean, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
That's coming up after that. Chicago's
That's really cool.
Huge. Yeah, man. So how you been? Tell me, catch me up, brother.
So kind of from our previous conversations, I'd realized that I'd been doing everything kind of wrong, but mostly it was speed-based because first off, I was really bad at sketch.
Hey, can I interrupt you and just ask you, it's cool if I record this?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I'll use it, but just wanna,
Yeah, no, it's all good.
It's always interesting talking to you, man. You're always a great guy to other people can learn from. Okay, go ahead. You started using Sketch, so you went you went to Xactimate school.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And where did you go take it at? Who'd you learn from?
I took it in San Antonio. Rick Carter was the instructor from Xactware. And
Cool.
I thought that there was a bunch of local ones, but there was actually people flying out from like all over the country to come to this course. So I think they're kind of hard to find. And I signed up for it months back.
I mean, if you would have asked me, brother, I know a couple of them.
Yeah?
I know, yeah, man.
I totally should have.
I have some good friends who are Xactware instructors.
Oh,
Good
well,
friends. Like
definitely
long time friends. Next time you want to learn Xactimate, call me up.
Dude, I need to.
No, but anyway, I'm sure the guy was awesome. Whenever you have the solar panels, usually people miss that.
Yeah, because it's just like detach and reset. If they're not broken, that's what I thought. You just put detach and reset.
Correct.
And would just barely get enough to pay out typically the solar company, because the solar company has a really high bid. But then I saw the way you wrote it, I was like, man, if I wrote it that way, like, not only would I be, being able to pay the solar company, because they have these contracts that they don't let you, for the most part anyway, touch their panels, because it's a warranty, blah, blah, blah. And so I think they either have Xactimate or they use somebody that has Xactimate to figure out how to price it, because their stuff is always like it's always like just how much it costs me. So I barely make anything on detach and reset. And then I saw the way you wrote it, and I'm like, damn, there's a lot of different line items that go for the solar panels. And there's just not a place, like, even Xactimate, they don't teach you that in the Xactimate class. They don't teach you that. They're just teaching you how to use the software, but they're not teaching you those types of things. So I'm like watching your videos, and I'm like, pausing it like 100 times, like, whoa, wait, 1 second, what did he just do? Like, I'll watch like a 2-hour video, and sometimes it'll take me like 4 hours, because I'm like stopping it, pulling up Xactimate. Whoa, what did Chad do? 1 second here. Like, I'll read your notes. You'll have notes, and I'm like, oh, that's a really good way to write the note. And then I'll put my template in for that note or whatever, for like how you write some of your IRC notes and per manufacturer guideline type of notes and all that. So anyway, in conjunction with the Xactimate classes, and then really kind of deep diving on some of your, new and old video content, it's helped me really improve the way that my estimates are written and maximize that profit, because we had a conversation maybe like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah. I think I remember something like that.
Hey, I thought I was doing like pretty good. I still think it's great, but 45-50% margin, and then you're like, hey, like some of these jobs can really be up like 50 to 65%. And I'm thinking,
that's when we were talking about that.
How do I like juice that much more out of it? And it just boils down to basically writing the estimate from start to finish and making sure you have all the line items that are in conjunction with that stuff. So, like for siding, I was just like reset, whatever, detach or reset hardboard siding. And, like one of my new spins on some of the tough stuff you've been teaching me was, so they've already baited their own trap and stepped in it by the adjuster coming out, and he's saying like the whole house has to get painted. And I don't know if you said it or if I came up with it, I can't remember. But anyway, it's like bringing the stuff into evidence in court, right? So they already acknowledge now the house has to get painted, but the siding is, there's degradation, right? Like the siding is no longer in really good enough shape, frankly, to paint over. Some of that is due to the tornado, but not the majority of it. So they say, well, hey, we definitely have cosmetic damage from the storm. There's debris all over the house. Let's go ahead and get this whole thing painted. So it's like, whoa.
And listen, that, I remember you, I think it was you asked me about that argument. Like, where you said if they acknowledge that it needs painted, basically they're saying that the paint has been damaged, right? Which, by the way, I'm always looking for that at bare minimum. Always, on every single hailstorm, tornado, hurricane, from the debris hits. I'm always looking to see, did the paint suffer any damage? Just the paint by itself, right? And then now, at least that entire elevation now needs cleaned and painted, right? And also all the preparation, detach, reset, everything. And I remember you asking, I think it was you, that if they went that far and the siding itself, the material was in a state to really, where it really couldn't be cleaned and painted, then could you go after the siding? And you know what? You probably could. However, I would submit to you, Connor, like if you're in that scenario, and you may already be doing this, I think you're better off finding a piece of that siding, if you can, that is damaged, right? Yeah. Like that, eat just one piece of it, because then it's discontinued, right? It's all kinds of things. Like there could be other reasons, like if you have to remove and replace that one piece of siding, is there fan fold insulation behind it? So is the wall cavity up to code to make it, so you're in Texas, so you'd have to be residential, you'd have to be an R30, right? Your wall cavity would have to be an R30. If you're in cold weather, you'd have to be R38. So like, does it have those values? If not, then you have to add fan fold insulation to bring the values up, right? So now everything has to be brought up to code. There's probably lots of reasons why the siding would have to be replaced if you could just get them to admit to repairing the siding, right? So you're better off getting there that way. But I guess I'm already assuming that you've already checked that box. You've already tried to find any siding whatsoever. I mean, the siding, if it cannot be repaired, one piece of it is damaged, I guess what I'm saying is, it's hard for me to believe that the paint has been damaged, but none of the siding was actually damaged.
Well, it was, but the problem is that, like, every elevation, so, I mean, we're talking, like, literal collision strikes through the siding. Like, there's definitely plenty of strikes. There's some sheets that there's no damage that's more than cosmetic, but there's definitely deterioration of the siding. So it's like, okay, I want you to change out 10 sheets of 80 sheets of siding total, right? But number one, good point you brought up, it's masonite. They don't make that anymore. So it's just the T111 that looks the same as masonite, but it's not the same. Yeah. So that's one point. But the second is that, like, if I am going to repaint it, it's not waterproof anymore, right? So, like, the inspector I've done a lot of jobs with on now, and so I just called him. I'm like, hey, I got a question, insurance companies, you know what I mean? He's like, there's such pain. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Well,
right?
I mean, also, how are you going to clean it to prep it for paint? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's that bad.
You can pressure wash and just blow this stuff apart because it's already completely degraded. And then he's like, well, look, like, I'm not going to let you paint over siding that is clearly not this.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't be painting over water damaged siding and water soaked siding. You're going to find a building code for that. But, I mean, look here, though. Also, if it's historical siding, and somebody found historical siding, there's a process for actually historical preservation, right? So, I mean, like, you follow me here? Like, so you want me to paint it and work around the fact that it's that deteriorated and aged and everything. You see what I mean? Like, that's what you want me to do. Okay. Well, then, there's gonna have to be, like, almost like an historical preservation process to get there. And we're gonna have to use certain kinds of paint, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't recommend going that route because I think it's already damaged, in my opinion. I think the siding is damaged, and I think it's water soaked, so I don't think you actually should, encase water inside of it. And actually, I don't think that would be good for me to associate my name with. And that's a problem because I've already signed the agreement that I'm going to perform all repairs that are prescribed by the claim. I'm already picking up a bunch of money, so I'm not going off the job. You know what I mean? I'm kind of stuck here. And since my name's attached, I think it's a better idea, really, the responsible thing to do, is to replace the siding. I think we have enough reasons why we need to do that. But if you're not going to agree to replace the siding and you want me to paint it, what you have as far as the line items to paint this particular siding is absolutely not even going to get us started. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. I like that approach a lot.
Then you're giving them options. You're not like saying okay. You're not saying okay. It can't be painted over at all. You're saying okay. Well, let's work together. Let's go with the flow. You prescribed it to be painted. The only way to paint it is to do it this way, and I believe that's probably going to be violating building codes. And I'm pretty close with the building department. They kind of know what I do and stuff, so like I'm pretty sure they're not going to allow that to fly. Like they're gonna probably red tag this job and shut me down. You know what I mean? Which of course I'm pretty sure you can make happen with some of your building official connects at the building department that you've been gaining lately.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I mean, he already wrote. I asked him because I have a permit pulled, so obviously he's doing inspections anyway. So I just said, hey, if you could look at this and just, I don't know if you want to make a note on it, because I don't want to pin over this, but this is kind of what the current scope calls for. I assume that's not kosher. So I guess kind of using what you have and then maybe submitting that, I think that it's a win. I can't see how it's not going to get done. I can't see any real scenario where between all those different approaches that it's not going to just be like, you know what,
and
you're
look,
right.
I mean, look, Connor, if it comes down to it, and he disagrees, let's play devil's advocate. Let's play it out, right? Let's play out the scenario. I like to do that with chess, like it's a chess game. Play it out. Play a bunch of different scenarios out, and play the combinations and the variables, and see if he says this, then I'll do this. If he don't, play that stuff out and really strategize. But so let's say that he says, no way, that's preposterous. I'm not doing either one of those. You can kiss my, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, and what do we say, Connor? We say, okay, well, I'll tell you what. What's the next words?
Hired to perform all repairs that are prescribed by you. So how do you want me to go about rectifying?
I mean, I love you, dude. Yeah, I love you because it's like habit at this point, right? That's good. Like instinct is kicking in, right? Because okay, you try, you try to prove it. You give them the documentation, you give them the proof, you give them everything you can. You put your best case forward. That's what we always say, right? And then it's, well, okay, I'll tell you what. I don't think it's going to be possible, all right? However, my job, the thing that I was contractually obligated to do, the thing that I was hired to do, the thing that my contract actually says on it, is that I was hired as the contractor to perform all of the repairs that are prescribed by this claim, meaning you're writing up the instruction list and I'm carrying it out. You call the shots. You're in charge here, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and give that a shot. I really don't have a choice but to do that. That's my job. That's the thing I was hired to do. But again, I just don't think it's going to be possible. But I'm going to make a good faith effort to try it. Okay. So if it comes down to that, then you go out there. This is not something you want to do, but then you certainly just play it out and start the process of, for crying out loud, you can even order the materials or some of the materials and start doing the prep work and everything, and charge them for the prep work, by the way. Charge them for the attempt, and then literally shut it down, man. If you can't get the building department to actually shut it down, if they wouldn't do that, they'd say, nah, I don't want to get involved, or whatever the case may be. Then start the process of cleaning this siding. And then as soon as you get started, show them how you can't go any further. You know what I mean? You can't, you tried, man. You can't go any further. I tried, and this is what happened. Here's the proof of what happened. Here's the documentation. Here's the footage. Here's the photographs. Here's the video footage, for crying out loud. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? So I'm afraid, unfortunately, I'm trying to be reasonable. I'm really trying to work it out with you. I feel like, honestly, the thing that I'm trying to do is I can see that we're mostly good on all these items on this job, right? We're good. I feel like we can get there. But the thing that I'm trying to do, I can see this thing kind of going sideways without me having anything to really do with it, and I'm really trying to see what I can do to keep the train from going off the track. You know what I mean? I feel like you and I, together, we can roll up our sleeves, work together for the common good of our mutual client. I really do feel like that. I feel like you and I can get there, man. I'm reasonable. I'm willing to work it out, as I've told you multiple times at this point. And honestly, man, you can see I've already thrown items out the window. If there's some more items that I need to throw away, I'll do that. I'm willing to work it out. If it's something that, you say I've got to do this, and I have detach and reset, and you want me to take, a couple of these items off here and there. Like, I'm willing to work with you, man. But when it comes to, how am I going to clean and paint this siding that's also actually been damaged by the tornado? It's been discontinued. It's got, direct physical contact on it. It's physically damaged directly by the debris that came from the tornado. So I think, if you don't see it that way, one of the things we could do that I'm willing to do also, man, is, if you have some time, let's go back out there together. Let's take a look at it. I mean, I'm willing to, give it another shot, take another look at it. I mean, you tell me, what can we do to work this thing out, man? Like, I tried to do what you wanted me to do. What can we do? You know what I mean? Like, dude, I think, that's probably, like, if it didn't work at that stage, just the likelihood of it working increases simply because you're changing up, like, you got through that next line of defense, right? I mean, like that, there's a front line of defense, you're getting through, you're asking for the supplement, you're getting more money, which most people don't even do, right? And then now shut you down, and you played along, right? You played along, and you went and you tried it, you attempted the repair, and it didn't freaking work. You had the good faith. So that's the thing in insurance, is good faith. They're always like I don't go to litigation ever, as you know, but one of the things that I take it they talk about in litigation is, did the carrier act in bad faith? That's a big deal. And so, apparently that's one of the things that, and I don't know this for sure, but I believe that most adjusters, that's one of the things that they spend a lot of time trying to avoid, is litigation. And are they acting in good faith? I think they have learned about that. But then again, man, we had this this is great. In Atlanta, our last meeting, we had this former desk adjuster that was there from State Farm. Like, she was a former desk adjuster at State Farm, dude. And and so we got a lot of input from her, and she validated a lot of things that that I talk about. So that was cool too. But I think that if she were right here and we were talking to her right now, she would say, like that, you got to act in good faith. And one of the things she said was funny. Everybody died laughing. She said, one of the things they teach us at State Farm, she told me this at lunchtime, and then I asked her to repeat it. And she said, one of the things that they tell you to do is that you're going to mess up a lot, but just try to make sure that you're consistent. Just try to make sure you're consistent. You're going to mess up a lot, but just try to make sure you're consistent. It's like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like the stuff that they do. So I don't know. Like, one of the things that she said, she backed up other adjusters that have been in my meetings. They backed up. There's another adjuster there too. They have said that they do not have like building code training of any kind, right? They don't have any of that. That's not part of being an adjuster. So like, you think that, I think though part of being an adjuster is some litigation stuff, so I think that they're going to have, but anyway, back to what I was saying. And you know what, dude, there could be another thing that you can come up with too, where he what if he shuts you down again at that level? And you say, okay, then what are you going to do, right? Well, back to the drawing board. Like I would at that time. I mean, again, I'm assuming you're dealing with an adjuster that won't get off the case, like where you go to the inside and they keep referring you back to the same adjuster. Because I know you're smart enough to know that you never deal with the field adjuster unless you have to. Like, you have to go, you send all your stuff to the inside of the insurance company, and hopefully, these adjusters that were there after the storm are starting to thin out now, and now we have other adjusters or other, so, let's get another adjuster on the deal, man. I have you seen that YouTube video I have about how to remove how to remove an adjuster from the
I don't think I watched that one.
From the claim.
No.
It's on there. It's called how to remove an adjuster from the claim, something like that. How to remove an adjuster from an insurance claim, right?
Yeah.
And I was dealing with this thing. I was just watching it today actually because it popped up on my Facebook. I had like 5,000 views on just my personal Facebook profile, just organically,
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago. But it was a farmer's adjuster that was stuck on these 2 commercial claims that I had. And he wouldn't get off of them, man. In other words, I was trying to get a re-inspect, and it was always this same guy. He came out there, he added some more money, and then I went back again and sent it to the inside, and it went to him. He's like, look, man, I already went out there and added more money. And he left me this voicemail that was so rude, man. He left it on the weekend where he knew I wasn't going to answer. He's like, yes, hello. And I played this message on the video. Hello. He's like, hello. I've already given you money, and what I paid is all you're going to get. And if you have a problem with that, then let me know, and I'll bring some guys out there who will do the job for that amount. He's basically saying he's going to get the contractors to do the job if I won't, And I was like, oh, he didn't, Oh my goodness, man. I'm putting this video on YouTube probably, and if I am, I'm going to link to that video right here. Anyway, I'm going to link to that video. And I was just like, no, he didn't, man. So I called in. I couldn't get loose of this guy. It's 2 commercial deals that he was on for one of my clients in Dallas. And I called in the main number of farmers. They were like, is it auto? Is it, is it property? Is it residential? Is it commercial? And I just waited for somebody to answer, gave her the claim number. I said, I need the supervisor on this claim, please. I was real nice to her, and I didn't tell her why. She gave me the supervisor's information. I jotted it down, and I had her transfer me to him. And I've had complaints on this video because I have this like crazy dubstep music on it when I'm on hold, and I got to like fast forward, and it's like, it's crazy music. But, and then I, bring it down when they come back on the phone. But I'm like, I told the supervisor the whole story about what the guy said, and he left it on voicemail, and he was just being totally unreasonable. These are code-related items, yada, yada, yada. He could see the emails because I copied the inside, so he can see everything I was saying was backed up by documentation, and he could see the stuff that I sent him through with the things. And so he literally pulled that guy off of those claims and put another adjuster on them, who then took another look at it from a whole fresh and different approach. So I think that's another thing, like you try to exhaust all if you are stuck with an adjuster that you have to deal with, and you can't get to another adjuster by going to the inside and requesting a re-inspect, which, by the way, you can always have the client call the insurance company and say, hey, I don't see eye to eye with my adjuster. I would like a different opinion. Send me a different adjuster. And that I've seen work also. That's enough. See, we're just covering all these different options that you actually have before the thing's really over. You know what I mean? Because it's really just one human that you're having the problem with. You know what I mean? So you get to that next, but just call in there and say, I can't get there with this guy. Like we're having problems. Give me another adjuster. But if this plays all the way out and you try to do what they're telling you to do, and you're literally violating the law, building codes and things like that, you would have to do that in order to actually comply and follow the prescriptions that they're trying to lay out for you. Then you just have to get, no matter what, you have to get another adjuster. You have to get another human. You've got to get the supervisor. You got to keep trying. Never, ever, ever give up. There's always something else. You're so smart. You're so creative. There's something else you're not thinking of, right? And remember what we talked about before. Man, I've talked about this in my events, is like, man, if it's closed, they're saying, well, that's dead. It's closed. Everything's been exhausted. Well, what about, like in legal cases, you've been found guilty of something you didn't do that's putting you away for life, right? and you played out all your appeals, which are mostly based on technicalities, mistakes made in court, and you've exhausted all your options, all your appeals at all the levels, local, state, maybe the federal or not, I don't know how that really works, but you've exhausted all those, right? And now it's like, okay, you can't even appeal anymore. It's over. Except there's one way, and that's new evidence, right? If there's any new evidence that gets developed, then that's actually a way where you can have a fresh crack at it. As long as you're not doing appraisals, right, and working with public adjusters or litigation, then the money they're paying in those scenarios, it's final. You can't go back ever again. But if they've paid and they've closed it, they've shut this down, they've shut that down, talking about the actual scenario that we're speaking of here, they've shut all that down, man. You've exhausted all those options. Okay, you know what, man? And you've gone, supervisor, everybody, even the supervisor's like, nope, I'm going along with my guy. I know him, he's good. And you know what? He shouldn't even have given you this much money. You know what I mean? Go back out there and inspect that dang property again, dude, at that point. If you haven't already, inspect it again. Because like I do, every single time you look at it, there's more damage that you didn't notice from before. Dude, if there is more damage, then they have to take another look at it. If it's the same damage that we're talking about, that we've been going over and over and over, about, that's one thing. That can keep it closed. But if there's new damage, listen to me, new damage that they haven't seen before, if you document that new damage, that can be the reason to open it up again. Period.
I love it.
And you know what? Talked about this on my last YouTube video. Got some trolls on there too. They were like, you don't know what you're talking. This is bad advice. There's, insurance claims are so complex. There's so many different variables and all this stuff. And what you're saying is nonsense. Dude, whatever. Give me a freaking break. I mean, it's like, you're missing the whole point, because these are policy people that are saying this. These are insurance adjusters, public adjusters, people that they live and breathe in the policy and the coverage. No, I don't. Yeah. I'm living in the contractor's lane. Everything I'm seeing is through in the contractor's eyes, man. So it just drives me crazy, man, because I'm like, that's not, you're missing the point. I'm trying to tell these guys, stay away from policy and coverage. Keep it simple, simplify things, right? And what I was talking about, the topic was, if there's a roof leak and there's water coming into the building, that's wind-driven rain, that's an opening in the roof, and they're saying they're not going to cover the water damage on the inside because it didn't come from the opening in the roof. And that's nonsense. You try to prove that wrong by tracing the trail of the water, showing them that yes, indeed, the water did come in through the roof, and then it's covered under the same claim. No worries, right? But ultimately, do they still have to pay for the water damage? Because most people have water damage coverage. So, like, if they're saying it didn't come from the roof, it came from somewhere, and it's covered still, because if it's still leaking, if there's still, no matter how old it is, how old the water damage is, if it's still leaking now, that's new damage, right? And so that's direct physical contact, that's incidental water damage, accidental water, whatever. But it came from somewhere, and so you've got to cover it now on something, because you're covered for water. If you're in Florida, they have caps up to like 10,000 on a lot of things if it's water damage. So that kind of doesn't work in Florida, but you're not in Florida, you're in Texas. And you know what? A water damage claim is a flat fee of like $250, $500, or $1,000. It's not a percentage of the policy limits like these wind damage claims are. So if they want to be stupid, like, you can't tell the client to file a claim. You can't tell the adjuster that you're going to tell the client to file a claim. But you can say something like, you know what? And make sure you talk to the client about this first to make it true, because you don't want to lie to the adjuster. But you know what? I talked to the client about this, just, again, in the spirit of trying to keep the train from going off the track. One of the things I'm talking about is that, the client, if you do that, if you shut it down because of the water damage, saying it's not an opening in the roof, they know they have water damage coverage, so they're just going to file a water damage claim. And then you're going to pay for it, and that deductible is not going to be, you see what I mean? So, and people are saying like, oh, well, they can get dropped. They'll get dropped if they do that. No, they won't, man. They're not going to get dropped, especially if they haven't filed a claim in years. And you know, there's always exceptions to the rule. There's always different variables that you need to look at, always different factors, right? But one of the things that I actually didn't point out in that video, and I wish I would have, man, because this actually adds a ton of value when you think about this. Dude, if the client, listen to me here, this is another thing. Connor, if the client files a new claim, what happens right when they file the new claim?
They just pay the deductible and it opens up a brand new start, I guess, right?
What's the insurance company going to do after you file a claim?
They're just sending an adjuster out.
So if you're stuck with a bad adjuster, right, and then the client files a new claim, what happens? A new adjuster comes out, right? I mean, like, so one of the things with that, dude, is like wind damage. Like they have it as wind damage, but it's really hail. Or maybe it's wind and hail, but they've picked one reason. Well, then, and they deny you and say there's no wind damage, right? Or no hail damage, right? Well, then the client files another claim. As soon as they close that one, they just file another claim under the other reason. And then a brand new human comes out. And like I said, you really just need a new human with new eyes on it.
Yeah, that is most of the problem, I think.
See, man, you just keep on doing what you're doing, dude. Keep on thinking. What's the next level? It's not over yet. Like, this person's telling me it's over, and don't ever agree that it's over. Never. You know, I mean, because look, remember, ultimately it's just an estimate. Everything we're doing is before the build when we're going through this supplemental process. So it's all fantasy. It's not real. It's hypothetical. So whatever you're saying is a prescription for a fantasy, but it becomes real, it becomes actual when we're actually swinging hammers, when we're actually there at the job performing the actual repairs. And when that happens, you have the advantage because you're going to be the one that's actually there. They're not going to be there. They're not going to be the one that's spending all their time there during that process. So you can photograph. There's no shortage of photos that there's no such thing. You see what I mean? There's no such thing. Like video documentation, photo documentation. I like the idea of videos because you could take screenshots, like screen grabs from stills, you know, just pausing the video at different points and then taking a screen grab from that point. You know, video, like you never know what you're going to catch with a video, so just videotape it. You know, I mean, I think we're coming into a whole different era where people are putting hunting cameras at job sites, you know, and they operate on mobile networks, I hear. Where, you know, like, you know, think about, like, I have the Google Nest cameras at my house all over the place. They're amazing. I think we should video document everything. You can have like body cameras, you know, and helmet cameras, and there's glasses with cameras on them now. I mean, these are all ideas that we should be utilizing to our advantage, because, you know, I'm telling you about 5 different levels that you can still keep it going before even building, but ultimately you go begin the repairs at some point, you know, even early on, begin repairs that you can begin, so you can plant your flag, move into the job site, start doing repairs, set up the job site, start removing wet stuff, you know, start actually performing the repairs, because you're picking up the money. Now you're performing the repairs. So you are actually performing a service for your clients. You know what I mean? They're not thinking like, man, I'm giving them all this money and they haven't even done anything, even though you are on the back end, the admin side. But actually do physically as many things as you can, so that they don't try to drive a wedge between you and the client and say, hey, where'd you find this guy? You should really hire somebody else. No, you're picking up all the money that you possibly can, performing all the repairs that you possibly can, so that the client really, it's a huge inconvenience for the client to want to cancel and try to, you know, go in a different direction.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how much I've applied all this stuff, like there was an adjuster that tried to drive that wedge because I was just doing all the shit that I've been learning on your like classes. Like, hey, here's all the I pulled all the code. I've become really good at it now. Like, since you turned me on to it, I'm like, oh, this is my thing. I love digging in the code and then just like, hey, here's the IRC. The adjuster didn't even know what to do. You know, she was just trying to deny it. And then her tactic was drive a wedge between myself and the client. So she's like, you know, I just don't know why your contractor can't get this done. You know, you're making no progress. And but just kind of like what you said in all your classes, like, hey, your client's your ally, blah blah blah. And so the client, I spun her up on all of it. I sent her the same code stuff, you know, and she knew exactly what was going on. So when the adjuster was trying to drive that wedge, she's like, well, you know, from my understanding, like, I've read all the code that he sent me, and it all seems to make sense. So she just kind of failed there. And so this went on for like 3 weeks, dude. She was coming up with new documentation she wanted to see, and it would just be okay, no problem, right? And to the point where where the city inspector said, I want this house rewired. The engineer, and then I got my master electrician involved. Now, hey, can you go just go ahead and do a job walkthrough and give me your frank feedback on what needs to get done, you know, without like leading the dog too much. And he sends me a report, and so all three of them are like, yeah, with the amount of liability involved, this house needs to get rewired. And so then, after doing all that, she started to large claims. She's like, yeah, I'm going to try to just shut this down. So then today showed up with all the printed copies of all the code, you know, multiple pieces of code from the IRC 2015 for Round Rock. And, dude, the large claim lady, a little bit standoffish, but ultimately I know it's all going to get approved.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions?
Oh, man.
Like, okay,
I love it.
Pretty straightforward.
I love it, man. Hey, we're going to keep this call going, but my camera's about to run out of space, so I'm gonna shut this down, but I want to wrap up this video to say this, man. Couple things. I didn't know you were a military veteran until after you signed up for my course and you went to my event.
Yeah.
Would you be closer to San Antonio or Houston?
San Antonio, way closer.
Okay, San Antonio, I'm coming back January 13th.
Oh, cool.
And I'm also going to be in Houston on December 9th. Dallas on November 11th. I'm going to buy your tickets this time for you and your wife, and also anybody you want to bring with you from your team. So I want you to bring, I really
appreciate that.
And because by then you'll probably have a bigger team, I want you to bring your whole team with you on me, okay? And
Yeah, I really
I will include up to 2 nice hotel rooms for you, okay?
Dude, that's too much. That's too much. You guys don't lie with just your,
that is on
your
me,
education.
and I'm also going to treat you to dinner when you're there, okay?
It's like a royal treatment, Chad.
I will put you into my my diamond status, or if it's it might be Marriott. I'll put you in with my a gold, elite, or platinum, whatever it is on there, and get you all free breakfast too in the morning.
I really appreciate that.
That is for my love for veterans, and also all veterans going forward. If you're watching this, free at my events, free enrollment in my course. Connor's in my course, but I'm taking his payments out of there so he never pays a dime again. How you like that, brother?
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
All right, so I'm going to wrap up this video. We'll keep the call going. Keep the grind going. Keep winning, baby.